Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about the 1958 Italian science fiction film The Day the Sky Exploded. And the movie begins with the launch of a United Nations space mission. The rocket's intended destination is the moon, but an engine malfunction sends the craft irretrievably off course. The mission pilot, John McLaren, an American, successfully disengages the escape capsule and returns to Earth, but the rocket itself plunges onward into the Delta asteroids, where it explodes. Back at Mission Control, McLaren and the mission's scientific staff work together to model the consequences of the rocket's explosion. The news is bad. The explosion will, or by this point already has, dislodge the asteroids from their orbit. Now merged into a single giant cluster, they are headed towards the Earth. The asteroids probably won't hit the planet itself, but they will pass sufficiently close to cause worldwide disasters. Tsunamis, catastrophic winds, firestorms, and earthquakes. The damage from these disasters, plus the resulting panic and riots, will be devastating. Devastating, that is, unless McLaren and the scientists can find some solution. The Day the Sky Exploded is one of many films from Mario Bava, a prolific filmmaker, particularly of low-budget fare. His work in the mid to early 60s was particularly notable. He directed two films that are now regarded as the earliest examples of the giallo genre, following them with the science fiction horror film Planet of the Vampires, which is a thematic precursor to Alien, and then 1966's Kill Baby Kill, which both Martin Scorsese and David Lynch have identified as a significant source of influence on their own work. This movie comes from before that period, however, and is much more emblematic of the low-budget aspect of Bava's work than anything else. More than half of the film's entire runtime is stock footage, which Bava manipulated and cut together to fit the narrative. Bava has also designed the special effects, handled the cinematography, and was credited as co-director, though from what I've read, people on set say that this was underselling his role and he functionally did all of the directorial work. So you can't fault Bava's work ethic, but I can fault this movie because it's simply not terribly good. So let's talk about where and how it goes wrong. And it's mostly the script. I would not be surprised if the screenplay's primary selling point was we can use all the stock footage and make this really cheaply, because there certainly doesn't seem to be much else to recommend it. The first problem lies with the pacing and plotting. The film starts very slowly, spending rather too much time on McLaren's aborted space mission. The only narrative purposes of the mission are to introduce McLaren and establish that the mission has gone wrong. I mean, that could have been done in about 2 minutes. Certainly it could have been done much more quickly and efficiently than it is here. The main reason to take so much time, I suspect, is that to do it in a quick and efficient way would have rendered the movie's already lean running time entirely emaciated, which is a result of the second pacing problem. There's simply not enough meat on the bones of the whole search for a solution part of the script. The movie tries a couple of contrivances and subplots to disguise this, more on the latter later, but they don't really work. The English language performance in the mission scenes is also rather odd. McLaren acts quite strangely while speaking with Mission Control, so much so that as I was watching the movie, I thought his behaviour would be a plot point later on. It's not. Either there was a plot point like that was planned and then dumped, or the performance is an unintended consequence of people who are not working in their native languages. The second script problem is that the last-ditch, out-of-the-box solution that the film's offered up as humanity's only hope in the final act is absolutely the most obvious solution possible. The one that is so obvious that later asteroid disaster movies would always need to give an immediate explanation as to why they couldn't be used. And that solution is to chuck a bunch of nukes at it. Now, to be fair to this film, probably more fair than it deserves given its other problems, in 1958 that solution was not quite so obvious as it would seem today. Only 3 nations had nuclear weapons, and the massive growth of US and Soviet stockpiles were still in the future. Chuck nukes at it might not have been the immediate thought that it is today. On the other hand, for much of human history, let's try hitting it as hard as we can has been pretty much the first solution that we have attempted for most problems. It seems unlikely it would take so long for anyone to come up with as it does here, even in 1958, only sort of 15 years, less than 15 years after the first nuclear weapon had been used. Now, there are a number of common tropes in romance storylines. For example, we've got enemies to lovers, which comes up so often by now that two characters meet and immediately argue is practically code for these guys are going to hook up. Another such trope is the fake romance, which is where someone pursues a relationship for ulterior motives but ends up falling in love for real in the process. Sometimes this is a mutually agreed fake relationship where both characters ultimately catch real feelings, the Pretty Woman type scenario. The other version of this trope is that only one character knows it is fake and begins the relationship for secret motives of their own. Of course, just as that character actually falls in love for real, their partner discovers their original secret motivation. So we have the inevitable breakup before they, declare, "Oh no, my feelings are real," and they reunite. The Day the Sky Exploded seems to be aiming for the latter option. The man is pursuing the woman to win a bet, but the script makes the decision to have the woman hear him make that bet. That could be made to work if you then shifted to he thinks he's playing her, but she's playing him type of scenario. The film doesn't do that. It still essentially follows the standard plot beats of this subgenre, and it doesn't really work. But then, doesn't really work is a pretty good summation of most aspects of this film, to be honest. Unless you're a Mario Bava completist, you can safely skip this. Next time, we stay in Italian cinema, but we move nearly a quarter century closer to the current day with the 1982 horror film Panic, which you can also find under a number of other titles, including Monster of Blood and Zombie 4 Bacterian. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've seen today's movie and you're still awake, let me know what you thought of it.